we might be witnessing the downfall of shits and gigs. I've just seen that clip. I don't know if they were on their podcast or someone else's podcast, where this man and them were talking about the black girlfriend effect. Already problematic, let's be honest. They were saying how when a white man is dating a black woman, how he then like starts to get a buzz cut and like grow his beard and like basically start taking on, your partner's vibe. I think that's a normal thing in relationships. When you are in a relationship with someone, you usually start to take on things from them because you're around them so much. But I digress. This man is sat there, a white presenting male. I don't know where he's from, but he sat there and he's basically saying, no, they get a buzz cut and a beard as protection from being slapped by black women. And he is just gunning for black women, saying that everything they change themselves is just protection, because like black women are just basically the hardest types of people to date and like the worst types of people to be around. These two just sat there and they just didn't defend black women. I went to a what's it called, like a live show, and I'm not gonna lie, the predominant like people at their live show were black and black women. Black women are probably the majority of the types of people who actually watch their podcast. The fact that these two men who also have black parents sit there and didn't quite defend us in this world where we're just like, why are we always getting brought into stuff? Like, black women could just be sitting here doing absolutely nothing and we're still getting dragged, still getting brought into stuff and still not being defended. I'm so over it because I'm just like, this is just a tired narrative at this point. Like, we're actually in 2024. And I just keep seeing comments. The saddest things, I'm seeing comments on that post. And there's so many black women being like, wow, like we really don't have anyone. Like no one really, like no one has our back. It's crazy. And I feel like I hope that everyone who has watched that, every black woman that has watched that doesn't feel away, because who are these men anyway? Like, really? Who cares about them and their opinion? Let's be so for real.
I was having some debates with my girlfriends, right? Because they were messaging me about this whole thing, and we had some healthy conversations. One thing they said is, Mike, you grew up around black women and you only date black women. So you would know you would never put yourself in the fire like that. And I had to sit down and think about it. If you've grown up around black women or dated black women, you've either been insulted or assaulted for saying something very stupid, eh? When I say that, I'm not saying, oh, black women are violent or anything. No. Because you see, me, I will take a black woman any day of the week. Do you know why? Because you know the kind of craze you've seen in life. I will take her craze over anybody's craze. The black woman, you can mess up and she'll give you another chance. In fact, she gives you chances. She even educates you when you fuck up, right? But the only thing is, yes, she can be a bit emotional when doing it. And that's fine. Every woman's emotional. But you see these other races. If I was to date a white woman, it's like roulette, because you don't know what's coming. Yes, they seem nice and kind, but if you mess up with a white woman as a black man, you're finished. Your life is over. She can turn the card. Now let's talk about Hispanic women. Sexy, beautiful, yes, but you mess up with them. Ha! The grace of God if you survive. Then if you talk about Asian women, whether Indian, whether Chinese and all that, that one too is like roulette. Because yes, they look nice, exotic. Okay, if you fuck up, ha! At the end of the day, it was a stupid thing those boys said, now that I really deep it and think about it. Because again, if I'm with black women, I am firing back at anybody that comes with them that's not black.
Myself and one of our other friends, Toby, were on the dance floor and there was a chick that was looking good and squeezed a bit of bottom flesh, and the guy...
The thing that's jarring for me about that video is like the casualness at which he says it. He just like throws it into his story. The story is about how James has had to like step in and fight on his behalf. But he's just like, yeah, I walked up to a girl and I grabbed her ass. Like, you groped someone. That's sexual assault. These are the men that we warn women to avoid. And I saw a lot of people saying, you know, James is a liability because of his mouth, like he can't control what he says. But, I mean, Fuhad can't control his hands. He's literally telling a story about how he walked up to someone and grabbed them in front of their boyfriend, and it started a fight. Like, they're both liabilities. But for the people saying, you know, it's just a joke, it's just a comedy show, like you're too soft, you're taking it too seriously, women have been saying that it's the men who will laugh and joke about this kind of thing who will end up being the ones to do it. And the reason they laugh and joke about it is, one, to normalise it, and two, to kind of let other people think that it's perfectly okay to do those kinds of things. And I don't get why men don't understand. Women don't want to be touched. We don't want to be groped. We don't want to be grabbed when we're out in public. It's scary. It's dehumanizing. It's objectifying. And to do that in front of someone's boyfriend, can you imagine the entitlement? That is predatory behavior. But other predatory men will enjoy those podcasts because they will see these men who are admired, who have a platform, who are respected, talking openly about what they do to women, how they feel about women, and it reinforces their misogyny. It reinforces their attitude toward women and their actions toward women and makes them, they're creating a safe place for horrible men. And women are the smart ones who have noticed the trend, who have noticed the pattern between, oh, this is what this guy says and this is what he does. This is what this guy hears and this is what he thinks is okay. We're the ones that call it out. We're the ones that talk about it. We're the ones who say we need to shut down all of these like rape culture, misogynistic attitudes because they do end up being physically harmful for women. And yet men who will tell you that they're more logical than women are the ones going, I don't see a connection, it's just a joke. Like, use your big boy brain. I'm not surprised that James and Fuhad are like in the firing line right now, but I am surprised it's taken this long because they have been problematic. And not to downplay how fucking horrific it is that they just sat and laughed along while a white man insulted black women in front of them, but that's like the tip of the iceberg of the problematic things that they've said and done. Like, they both, and James in particular, have said specifically about black women, horrible, like racist, like perpetuating stereotypes type shit. And then they always say like, oh, it's going to sound like I hate black women, but I kind of do have a problem with them because they bullied me in high school. And then they'll just like use that as a cover to say really horrible things. Like, they joke about hurting women a lot. They've said like with their own lips, like, I would smack her, I would punch her in the face, I couldn't hear that, I'd hit her. Fuhad also shares the story about how he went to a club and there was like this hot woman there and he went over and grabbed her ass, like he just groped her in the club, and then her boyfriend started to fight with him and he ran off and his friends had to like fight this guy. And they openly talk about how much they cheat. Like, they just make jokes continuously about how they have cheated and do cheat and all men cheat, but then like they'll slut shame women for having condoms in their bedroom. And I get it, like, it's called Shits and Gigs, it's supposed to be banter, but all their banter's just toxic. That's why whenever they're sitting in the presence of a white guy being openly racist and misogynistic, they just laugh. Because they don't take anything seriously. They're laughing about the shit that you're kind of not supposed to laugh about. And then it kind of gives other men, like, free rein to just be racist or misogynistic. But they take shit serious if it could potentially impact them. If it's a story about, like, a woman having done something, they're like... And then they'll either, like, threaten violence or slut shame them. I don't know, I just think they're gross.
Honestly, when it comes down to it, I just think that James and Fahad don't like or rate black women. That's just the bottom line of it. Because we can do these think pieces, we can evaluate their body language, this and this, but I just don't think they like black women. I used to watch them back in the day when they were like 30, 40k subs deep on YouTube. But, because they were actually funny guys, but I don't know, I just kind of fell off them. Because they just grew unlikable to me. But yeah, they just don't like black women, and that's all it is. That's why they can comfortably sit in a room. I mean, they did say they were uncomfortable. I don't really know what the whole situation is, but I just always got the vibe that they don't really like or rate us. So that's just that.
You're not born a perfect person, and yeah, we don't condone. We don't appease that behavior. We don't.
All right. We get it. So here's the thing. Listen. I do have empathy for what they're going through. They're young into this content game.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is what happens with a lot of people who are like funny on the internet, but they're not comedians. Yeah. So they are still concerned about cancellation. I think comedians, we understand that being funny is saying inappropriate things. Yeah. Sometimes that thing that's inappropriate is something about you. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's about other people. Mm-hmm. But the nature of being funny is something inappropriate happening. Yeah. Right? And I think what they're doing, what they don't realize is because they're young in the game, and we've all went through this. It's like scary in the beginning. You really think you're going to be canceled. You're worried. I'm sure that they have, people that they have to take care of, and they're like, uh-oh, what if I have to go back and I have to get a regular job? Is it all over? I completely have empathy for that. I get that. What they don't realize is by apologizing, you're just amplifying it. Yeah. The people that are upset at this, the majority of them don't even listen to the podcast. A lot of them are probably resentful of your success. And they're like, why the fuck should these guys make all this money? And they're just like reacting to stupid videos on the internet and like telling stories.
They're just friends.
From college.
I'm just friends.
Yeah, I'm just friends. Why can't I have millions of dollars like they have? So but they don't realize that. They really think it's their community. Your community still loves you. Your community still knows you. And if you actually have a community, like you say, which I do believe you do, they're not going to immediately throw you away because of one clip where you're laughing at a clear fucking joke.
I was at the live show. They're not going anywhere. Your fans
you said
fucking love you.
You said the live show was amazing.
It was amazing. And your
Right?
fans
Exactly.
fucking love you. They're not going anywhere.
But what you have done, and this is hopefully the learning moment, is that you have empowered those people that are trying to cancel you. Remember, the people trying to cancel you get off on you being canceled. You having to come out and apologize and bend to their whim and change the disposition of who you are. And it is a change, right? Because you had the ability to edit it out. You chose not to edit it out. Didn't mean anything to that. You only want to edit it, or you only want to talk about it now because of the negative reaction. If nobody reacted to it, you wouldn't go back and be like, we feel horrible and we have to protect our community and all this other bullshit you're saying. The learning lesson here is you do not apologize, because you're just going to empower these people who aren't even part of your community in the first place. You guys have built something with people who actually know you and care about you. And one thing that happens could never sway them, especially on a podcast where you're joking around. Like, it's ridiculous. That's a learning lesson.
And I think also when you're first going through that, you think about, oh, we have black female fans. I appreciate them so much. I think they must be so hurt by this. They're not hurt by this. You don't realize that. You start feeling empathy for people that don't feel bad, that weren't hurt. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, you're thinking about all the black girls you see at the live shows, blah, blah. Oh, those girls are probably so heartbroken. They think no, they don't. They know who you are.
Those girls know who you are. They know you're joking. Go out.
So I agree with everything you said, but I think in their situation, I don't necessarily feel like they shouldn't apologize, because their fan base is different. You guys are comedians. You cultivated a fan base that are used to edgy jokes. Mm-hmm. So their fans tuned into the show and heard them talk or laugh about jokes in a way that they've never done before. And so their fans can be disappointed. So it's like, I don't think it's wrong to necessarily apologize in that.
At the end of the day, men with podcasts are going to act exactly like men with podcasts. And I'm so sorry. I don't want to seem like one of those people that look back and are like, oh, I always knew something was off about them with the gift of hindsight. But I can definitely say I've never trusted a man with a podcast. However, I have seen some Shits and Gigs videos, never the full one, okay? And that may be where my disconnect is. But I have seen some like the short clips, okay? And I don't think they ever gave like pro-black women or even pro-women in general. I just think the standard for men on podcasts is so low that anything like contrary to like fresh and fit is seen as like, wow, you're one of the good ones. So it makes sense why a lot of women, especially black women, would like see their podcast as a safe space in comparison to everything else that's out there. But I don't think anything that they've ever said or done is deserving of like the moral pedestal that they've been put on. Like, they just read other people's tweets and stories and laugh, which is fine. Like, I was laughing too sometimes, but they don't deserve these they're not even like worthy of these high expectations that people are placing on them. They never gave any indication that they are worthy of upholding these expectations. And I just think that shows how dire the male podcasting world is, that you can gain an audience full of women that place you on this moral pedestal just because you don't talk shit about women. Like, that is the baseline for being a good male podcast. Just don't talk shit about women. And they couldn't even do that. That being said, this news about Shits and Gigs, it didn't really move me. I can't lie. But it made me think, what would I be moved by? Like, who's saying this? Would I be like, like jaw open by? And guys, the only answer that I could come across was Dr. Umar. Like, if Dr. Umar said something disrespectful towards black women, then I'd be a little bit moved, like a little bit disappointed, because he positions himself as someone that is pro-black women. But guys, Shits and Gigs,